Good morning, and here we are today with Hulya Erdal, who is a chef and a coach, and our conversation with Hulya today is going to take two parts. So first of all, we're going to be looking at how you can shop and cook on a budget if you've been made redundant or are nervous about being made redundant, but doing so in a way that isn't boring, isn't punitive, and obviously is healthy. And the second part of this conversation, we'll be talking to Hulya about the other thing that she does, which is sort of therapy through food and cooking and so on, and how that can help you at this time. Okay, so first of all, let's think about being in the difficult situation of being made redundant. And while we're not assuming that you're, on the breadline at the moment, I mean, it's one of the sensible things to do is to look at your outgoings and what you're spending and cut down on luxuries and all the mental that goes with that. Yeah. So Hulya, how can you eat well on a budget and still feel as though you're being pampered and you're not being punished?
Absolutely. Well, I tell you, I know from experience, because I've lived on a budget. I'm a single mum, and when I was, I wanted to put a perspective on it so that people I wanted people to know that I know what it's like to live on a budget, and I fully understand how tight and difficult it can be. And so, I wanted to put that out there first. So I tell you, the first thing is obviously takeaways. So I'm going to tell you a couple of just what you have to sort of almost like let go of a little bit without feeling like you're depriving yourself. Do you know what I mean? I certainly when you're on a budget, you want to reduce down those takeaways and savor them. So maybe treat yourself to it once every 2 weeks or once a month. Something like that. I would also immediately, if you can, get rid of convenience foods as well. See, the problem is when you're on a budget, we have a tendency to think that buying convenient stuff, going to Iceland, going and get the freezer stuff,
those noodles are about 19 pence a pack. Yeah,
exactly. The packs of dried noodles, the pack super noodles. Oh my god, the packs of waffles and smiley faces and stuff like that. That we think that they're cheap and that we're buying them and that, but they're not. It's a bit of a false economy, because actually, if you bought yourself a bag of potatoes, which are versatile and there's a lot of things you can do with them. If you bought yourself tinned beans or just regular noodles and made your own sauce, made your own, vegetables and whatever to go with it, it would be far more cost effective. So really, first off, I would always say, don't assume that convenience stuff is actually good for you. There's good convenience food and there's bad convenience food. What I used to do, I would say as well, is I did budget. I was very, very strict. I calculated. I've got a spreadsheet, and I still do that now. I've got a spreadsheet, so I know exactly what I've got to pay out for, my bills, this, that. And so, I ensured that I set aside the money, what money I was getting or money I had, right, okay, so that's going to go on the gas, the electricity, the this, the that, the TV license, whatever it is. Then, and the rent, the mortgage, that kind of stuff. Then I said, right, okay, this is how much I've got for food. This is my budget for food for the week. And based on that, I would plan ahead. So I would sit down and I would say, right, okay, and you don't have to make extravagant meals, but you can still make things that are different, nutritious, without going, down a road of just eating the same thing over and over again. So what I did, I would plan it and think, right, well, if I buy, potatoes, like I said, they're very versatile. So mash, chips, jacket potato, boiled potato, and you can use them in a salad, in a shepherd's pie, in a, you know, you can make a potato dauphinoise, you know, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff, you know, layered potato bakes, all kinds of things that you can use it for, right? Then I'll say, okay, so then that means that will create me 2 meals that week, 3 meals that week, depending on how much I buy, you know. And then I would think about like certain types of vegetables. What am I most likely to eat? And what am I most likely to, you know, want to feed my kids? Because some of us have got children, you know, I have 3 kids. And so, you know, you think about that as well. So you say, okay, you know, well, if I buy peppers, those peppers can become a stir fry. Those peppers can be chopped small and go into a stew or a sauce or even a bolognese. You know, tomatoes, they can go in a salad, they can go in a stew or whatever it is, you know, spaghetti bolognese, or just cooked down or roasted. They can be for breakfast. So you've got to think to yourself, plan ahead, plan meals. So look at recipes, look at ideas, look at things that you can cook. I mean, if you Google, you know, there are loads of stuff like cooking on a budget, like recipes and dishes and foods that you can make, which
are bloggers, aren't they, that specialize in this?
Yes, yeah, that specialize in that, and you can find specific types of foods and recipes to make this happen. And, you know, and also don't be resistant to looking at the sort of budget foods, or, you know, savers, or whatever they call them. Yeah, I used to go.
I mean, the own brands.
Yeah. So like, instead of buying Heinz beans, buy the Tesco brand or the Sainsbury's brand, you know, the supermarket brand. You know, it doesn't matter. I'd be more conscious of the amount of salt and sugar I'm putting in my diet, as opposed to looking at, you know, the branded goods. So like porridge oats. You know, porridge is brilliant because obviously you can buy it, it's quite cheap, you can get it in big bags, get the own brand one, put it in your cupboard at home, and that
fills you up.
Yeah, it's brilliant breakfast. You can use it for crumble topping, for apple crumble, if you want a little dessert for yourself, for your family, you know. So really, I would say you've got to get creative. You've got to open your eyes and think, okay, you know what? I don't need to buy Heinz ketchup. I can buy the branded, the supermarket ketchup, you know. So you can still have those items, you can still have those things, but it doesn't have to be on a much more expensive scale. And look for offers. Yeah, I love a good offer. I love an offer. I tell you what, I was like, if I went to the supermarket, I'd be like, yeah, you know what? There's a 2-for-1 on that. So, you know, you might find that, or they reduce the Heinz ketchup. You know, it's like it's slashed to like £2 or whatever. Great. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, buy that. That's okay. Look at offers. Look at things in the supermarkets. Be savvy. Don't restrict yourself to one supermarket. Look around. Or likewise, I say the flip side of that as well. Because I mean, I love going to the supermarket. Obviously, I love food. So, you know, I like like Lidl, Aldi, you know, Waitrose. I mean, they're total like extremes. Do you know what I mean? Like Sainsbury's, Tesco, Asda. I've been to all of them. Morrison's. I've got accounts with all of these people. I love supermarkets, but I also love the market, the local market. I'm from East London, from Walthamstow Market. Brilliant fruit and veg. You know, I'm sure most people where they live at some point or another, even if it's once a week or like 3 times a week, there is probably a fruit and veg market, a fruit and veg seller, a greengrocer somewhere, and you go there and they're brilliant because you can normally find stuff, especially if it's in season. You can find great stuff at a much more reduced price. So I would certainly say shop around. That's really my message here. Shop around, look at the local shops, look at what's out there, what's available to you. But
with the markets, I've noticed if you go a bit later in the day, the price goes down as well.
Exactly, because they want to get rid of it. They want to get rid of stuff. I mean, I used to do that. I used to go to the supermarket at near the end of the day because I knew that they would be having offers, that they would put stuff that they would slash.
Yeah, and some of the nice sort of home baked bread is
good quality stuff. Like, you know, if you buy bread that's like only got 1 day left on it, you know, and they reduced it, get a couple of loaves, put one in the freezer. You can freeze bread. That's it, instantly. Life extended. Stick it in the freezer, and you actually don't have to take the whole loaf out and defrost it to eat the whole loaf. You can actually take a few slices out of it, split the loaf, split it down, split it in half. I'd say that another thing that you can do though as well is to shop online, to actually
that's what I do.
Because the problem with going into the supermarkets, and I know this, I'm guilty, I know this, you go in there and suddenly you think, oh I like that, oh God, they got that, oh God, they got that, oh that's on offer. And you know, the problem with offers is they can be a bit enticing, and actually sometimes it's not good for you. So you know, you might fancy treats and this and that, and you know, they're not really going to serve us, you know, all those treats, and you know, because generally sometimes when they put things on in the offers, it's normally crisps and chocolates and this and that. You don't really want stuff like that anyway in your diet. But that really, if you're going into the supermarket, it's tempting. There's a lot of and you know, they waft those smells across the supermarket, the hot baked bread and the croissants and that sort of stuff, and it's not good. So actually, if you do an online shop and you're really strict with yourself and you say to yourself, right, okay, do you know what I'm going to do once a week, and you get your essentials, then you get into a habit. You get into a habit of going, okay, that's great, because you're able to stick better to your budget. And if you know that you're one of those people that if you go into a supermarket you are going to get tempted, it's probably better to restrict yourself to an online shop. Even in the beginning, to start with, to get yourself into a habit of like saying, okay, well, I know what I need to get, and I can still create some really great meals. You know, even if you buy the same types of pasta every week, there's different things you can do with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can make a different bake. One week you can make tuna bake, next week you can make a bolognese, you know, but also change it up. So don't always buy the same packet of like the same fusilli or penne. Do you know, get the rigatoni, get the macaroni, get this, get that. You know, there's, you know, get the farfalle. There's loads of different varieties that you can buy. So change that up as well a little bit. Rice. I always say go for whole grain. You know, and like, you know, go for the own brand. Doesn't have to be anything else. Go for own brand. Doesn't have to be Tilda, but you know, whole grain. Go for brown rice. Really nice, wholesome, more filling. See, that's the other thing, is that if you make the right choices, so like in terms of health, so like whole grain and whole meal, you're more likely to get full up. You're going to feel better in yourself, and you'll feel more full up. And so therefore you're less likely to want to just keep eating and eating and eating. And, you know, one of the things that I learned, and, you know, actually, I was a caterer, so I'm a chef. So we're used to cooking en masse.
Yes.
But the thing is, really, you only need to cook what you're going to eat.
So you're not an advocate of cooking a lot and freezing it then?
Well, you see, I am in that way. I am in that way, like cook it and then freeze it. But sometimes people tend to overcook, and then nobody wants to eat the same thing the next day.
Yeah, we have that here. Yeah,
exactly. Like
not leftovers.
Yeah, terrible. It's like, what do you mean you're not going to eat the leftovers? What do you think this is? People haven't got food, you know. You know, and I'm always like moaning and like at them, but they don't like leftovers. You know, not all the time. So sometimes I would say only cook what you need to cook. You know, weigh good scales, good set of scales. You know, you can pick them up in the supermarket, 10 quid or whatever. A good set of scales. Weigh your food so that you weigh out the portions, so you know that you're only cooking enough for what everyone's likely to eat. You know,
the amount of time I've done too much rice and then had to chuck it away.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, reduce the wastage. You don't want to waste. You don't want to be throwing food down the toilet. You know, you don't want to do this. You're throwing your money away. But likewise, yes, batch cooking is brilliant. Batch cooking is great. So if you are going to make a stew, a lovely beef stew or whatever it is, make one, or chickpea stew. Make one, and then put it away, put it in the freezer, portion it up so you're only taking out what you want. So if it's just you that really likes eating that, then you've portioned it up into a single portion, single pack. So you like, I'll tell you where you can go. What's really, really good as well. Every area has definitely must have a pound stretcher or a 1 pound
Oh,
shop,
yeah.
right? They're wicked. Go to them. You can get the plastic containers with the lids, buy them, and just portion up the food. And that way you're not wasting. You label it up, write on it with a Sharpie what it is, and then you can just take it out as you need it. Then that way you've got meals to keep you going on those days when you think, oh, what am I going to eat today? When you're not feeling so inspired, or you're not feeling like you want to cook. I think just getting into a habit of some of these little tricks, Another thing I would say is that as well, go look at tins, okay, but look at tins in the way of beans, like that, tinned beans, tinned chickpeas, that sort of thing, because they're brilliant for being able to bulk up a dish, right? So if you're lacking a bit in the old vegetable department, then just get a tin of like chickpeas, tin of black-eyed beans, tin of balotti beans, white beans, kidney beans, whatever it is, bung them in, and that's it. Instantly your meal has multiplied. And that's really something that I used to do when I with my kids as well. I mean, the humble baked beans, I have to tell you, there's so many ways you can jazz up baked beans. Do you know what I mean? Like, you get a pack of sausages, chop them up, fry, into little meatball style, right? Fry them off, and then drop them into the baked beans, like so a couple of cans of baked beans with the beans, and heat it up and add a little bit of extra flavour. So you can chuck a little bit of paprika in there, a little bit of spice, a little bit of chili pepper, whatever it is, and there you go. Ta-da! You've got this like sausage and bean stew. So I mean, there are clever little ways, and make your own baked beans. I mean, onions are an absolute staple. I mean, I honestly, I've got a whole big cauldron of onions in my house. It's like and if you've got time, what I've done is like buy herbs, and like, yes, you can get reduced herbs, like the ones, fresh herbs from the local delis, the local like Turkish shop or Asian shop, and chop them all up, put them in bags, and then stick it in the freezer. Put it in a bag, put it in the freezer, because actually that means the herbs don't go to waste. It means, because they can get a bit knackered in the fridge.
Yeah, quite quickly.
So chop them up, freeze them, chop up onions, freeze them, garlic, ginger, whatever. Then you've got a little glut of like flavourings in your freezer that you can just pull out and pop in straight into the food. Don't need to defrost it, don't need to do anything like that. If you find reduced like green beans or something like that, or asparagus or anything like that in the shops, if they've reduced vegetables, reduced fruit, again, things like that you can freeze. You can chop them up, you can freeze and use them in smoothies, stuff like that. So I would certainly say look at the type of fruit and veg that's available to you. Look at the seasonal items. Buy British where you can, in season.
If you're in Britain.
Yeah. If you're in Britain. Sorry. Yeah. So like,
But I hate buy British wherever you are.
Yeah, I know, exactly. No, that's what we want, right? International, worldwide. So look, wherever you are in the world, just get the seasonal stuff, seasonal fruits, seasonal vegetables, because you're going to get it at a better price. Basically, you just get better value, better price. You'll be able to buy more, and sometimes it is worth buying in bulk. So like potatoes, if you can get a large, a large sack of potatoes. So what we've been doing actually in the lockdown with friends as well. One of my friends, they've got a car, and they've been going to this local farm, buying a whole massive, and I mean like huge bag, like sack of potatoes, and then we've shared it out amongst ourselves. And that's a really great little way to, you know, help each other out as well. So yeah, and you know, I mean,
good idea.
Yeah, and I've done that with my family as well. So like in my catering days, if I'd buy like a whole box of lemons or a whole box of peppers or aubergines or whatever, and then I would dish it out. We'd all contribute to it, put money in, and then I would just, you know, distribute it out, because it works out obviously a lot more cost effective, a lot cheaper. So that's, you know, if you do want something nice, if you do want some nice Mediterranean vegetables or something like that, or something overseas, mangoes or whatever, share it with friends. You know, everybody contribute a bit of money and then just dish it out. It's a really great way to cut your costs down, actually. It's a really great way to do that.
So you used the word Mediterranean, and I know, obviously you're Turkish Cypriot, you're a big fan of the Mediterranean lifestyle and way of eating. So by the sounds of it, that actually is quite a cost-effective and healthy and interesting way to eat.
100%. I mean, if you're vegetarian or vegan, I always say this, then the Mediterranean diet is probably one of the most ideal go-tos that you can have. Okay, you know, and likewise, if you're a pescatarian, like fish eater, or you're meat eater, ravenous meat eater, then the Mediterranean diet is going to suit you down to a T. Why? Because a lot of our dishes tend to be very simple, actually, very simplistic. If you look at the Italians, you look at the French, you know, even like in the Provence, in Italy, in Spain, in Cyprus, Turkey, Greece, everything's actually really quite simplistic. So it could be, you know, a simple bowl of like roasted down peppers with a bit of olive oil and herbs on it. It could be a really nice, simple vegetable stew that we tend to make in Cyprus, in Turkey. You know, with a little mixture of like onions and peppers and courgettes and aubergines and tomatoes, and you know, and a lot of the time our dishes, you know, tomatoes, chopped tomatoes, tin tomatoes, which are honestly so cheap in the supermarket. You don't have to get the fancy one, just get the 12p tin one, right? You honestly, a lot of our dishes are tomato based. You know, we put onions in there. We use, you know, olive oil, simple olive oil, and flavorings like herbs, you know, spices. So, you know, one of my things as well, biggest advice I give to anybody who's cooking on a budget is that every time you go to the supermarket or when you do your online shop, get a little spice, something different, like put that in your trolley, okay? Set aside £1, £1.50, whatever it is. Buy yourself a little spice. So build up a collection. Because once you do that, suddenly your meals go from being slightly drab and boring to this really exciting, vibrant flavors. So stock up on Mediterranean spices, you know, cumin, coriander, cinnamon. I mean, I'll put cinnamon in everything basically. But, you know, seriously, ginger, mace, baharat. There's one called baharat. It's a mixture. It's like an allspice. Yeah. So allspice. Get allspice. Get nutmeg. Get mixed spice. They work really well. And then, you know, Asian flavors. So like the soy sauces, the yuzu. Yeah. So like the lemony, really zingy flavors. Italian, like get the balsamics. You know, really nice olive oil. Go for the oreganos and the thymes. And you can get those dried. They work really well, dried or fresh. Yeah. So, you know, go for that. Go for these sort of flavors. Stock them up. Have them in your cupboard. So that way, whenever you're creating a dish, you think, okay, you know what? I'll go for the curry powder. Yeah, I'm gonna go for the garam masala. You know, I'll grab a cumin. I'll do turmeric, paprika, chili pepper. All of these kinds of things work beautifully well, because that way you are immediately changing your whole dish into something completely else and international, and that's what's really great. So, like, you know, the thing with Mediterranean is that as well, we tend to eat a lot of pulses, a lot of grains, a lot of vegetables. Yeah, so we will have things like asparagus. You know, when you get asparagus in season, you can like mix it up with eggs. you know, eggs and potato. You know, we do a lot of stuff with eggs. Do you know what I mean? Eggs are great because they're a brilliant staple. Keep them in your cupboard. You can make frittata out of them, omelets, yeah. You can do boiled eggs, poached eggs. In Cyprus, we do is amazing, like really simple boiled potato, boiled eggs, like a salad niçoise, but obviously minus tuna and all that. We tend to put like chopped coriander in there, olive oil, the potatoes, the eggs, and sometimes if you want a little bit of spring onion and loads of lemon juice, fantastic. And mint, with fresh mint, and you know, grow herbs. So many things you can do. Do you know what I mean? Like you can grow
on a windowsill,
yeah, exactly. On your windowsill, if you've got a little tiny little plot in your garden, whatever it is, or in some pots, it works. Like, so I'll tell you what's really hardy, what you don't even have to worry about and look at. Okay, it's sage. Brilliant, works brilliantly well. Sage is fantastic. You fry the leaves. You know, the Italians have been doing that for years, for centuries. Yeah, sage, and obviously the English put it in sausage and turkey and stuffings. And rosemary, brilliant, works brilliantly well. Thyme, these are all quite easy. Mint, they're all quite easy to look after, easy to take care of. You know, easy to you know, grow. So I would say go for some herbs on your windowsill, fresh herbs, so you've got it yourself there. And then, yeah, just the flavour. So simple, like we would do like simple boiled pasta, like the Italians, you know, pasta with a bit of butter or olive oil rolled through it, you know, a little bit of vinaigrette, so balsamic vinegar, again, is brilliant. Turkish, we have pomegranate molasses. It's very Middle Eastern Mediterranean flavour. It's brilliant because you can marinate chicken in it. You can mix it in a salad, make a salad dressing out of it. That works really well. Things like sumac. Again, sumac is like this peppery, lemony, zingy, like berry that's ground down, dried and ground down. It's fantastic. So again, that goes really well in salads. You know, and jazzing it up.
Yeah.
So,
So can you recommend any good books? I mean, that somebody might just get to start them off.
Yeah, no, do you know what? I'm not sure. I haven't even looked at it, but there actually, yes, there is. Do you know what? There's a lady. What's her name? I've got to think of it now. There's a lady who is really well known. She has written. I'll have to look it up for you, Paula. She's really well known. She's written a book. All about living on a budget, actually, and it's all about cooking on a budget, but really beautiful, you know, really nicely put together, really great recipes, you know, nice wholesome food. Yes, there is a book there, and it's actually, she's just brought out a new one.
Okay.
I can't remember her
name. If you remember,
I'll
add it to the blurb.
Add it, yeah. I'm going to send you the link, and you're going to add it in, yeah. So there is absolutely loads of like books and things out there that you can get to help you, like, and you know, Jamie Oliver, I mean, you know, you've got to love Jamie, you've got to love him. He's got amazing books, and he's got like 15-minute meals. That's one of his well-known books. Like cooking for a family or whatever. He does like a really like budget one. So I think 15-minute meals is like how to cook things quickly and also, you know, lower cost. So that works really well. And yeah, and I would say certainly just really focus on eating well. Okay, so you know, like I said in the beginning about the convenience foods, pile up your plate with loads of veggies. Frozen vegetables are brilliant for this. So Iceland is absolutely fantastic for this one, right? Iceland farm foods, any of them, right? Lidl, Aldi, you know, you don't have to go and get anything expensive. Frozen vegetables. So in my freezer, I've always got like a pack of them mixed frozen vegetables. I've got a pack of frozen green beans, frozen peas. Peas are brilliant because they're full of protein. They pack you out. They fill you up. Peas are wicked.
I know they're high in iron.
They are high in iron. Absolutely brilliant. So peas you can use to make a stew. We make this really amazing stew. It's a pea stew. I put chicken in it. It's made with tomatoes. So tomatoes, onions, and peas. I mean, that's it. Tomatoes, onions, peas, bit of paprika flavouring. I put a little bit of like mixed spice in there, that sort of thing. Just a little bit of flavour, a bit of cumin, coriander, cinnamon, whatever. you can chuck a bit of chili in there, and then obviously if you're going to have meat, a meat of your choice, so like, you know, you can put chicken, or you could put a little bit of lamb or beef or whatever. Mince. I mean, I've done it with mince meat. It works brilliantly well. And or tofu, you know, things like that. Tofu. You know, look at that, and you know, try and like really like zhuzh up your diet a little bit. You know, I would certainly say variety is key. You don't have to eat meat every day, right? So, you know, twice a week, 3 times a week, plenty. You know, and if you're not a meat eater, then, you know, fine. So things like tofu, looking for substitutes. So tofu, corn, eating a bit more fish, even if it's like tinned fish. But I mean, if you eat seasonal fish, so like right now you've got sardines, it's the summer, you've got sardines, you've got mackerel, a bit of seasonal fish, never goes amiss. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's really worth it. You can grill it, you know, pan fry it. Get a bit adventurous. Honestly, get a bit adventurous in the kitchen.
So, Hulya, listening to you, it's obvious that your passion for food is coming through. Well, I know you, so I know this is your thing. But you also, apart from, you know, the pure practical side of eating and fuel and nutrition and so on, you also use it as a form of therapy, don't you?
I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and how someone might just reframe the way they think about it and use food themselves to cheer themselves up?
So what I practice a thing called mindfulness. And mindfulness is about bringing yourself into present awareness and self-awareness ultimately, and it's about you sort of being aware of what's happening to you, you know, what's happening right there and then, but not actually placing too much stress and worry on it, I suppose you could say, in some ways. Okay, so when you practice mindfulness, it's you know, it's not just like meditation. So, you know, some people, you know, I do meditation as well, but mindfulness is a wonderful way, and I use it in food. This is how I kind of do the cooking therapy. And it helped me. It's helped me over the years very much so, and it helped me at a very difficult time in my life many years ago. And you know, it's actually focusing on the action of cooking. So it's not just on the eating, and I'm going to come to that as well, but it's from the very beginning, the get-go, of focusing on the purchasing of the foods, thinking about where they've come from, putting you know, love and gratitude onto the farmer who grew those tomatoes or those potatoes for you to be able to go to the supermarket or the greengrocer, the market, to buy them, and giving, you know, honor to that, and really focusing on that. And you know, when you get your tomatoes or your peppers or whatever it is, looking at them and spending time admiring them in terms of their color, their shape, their flavor, thinking about the nutrition that that's going to give you. See, when you change your perspective on food and you change how you look at food, in fact, what that does is it switches your brain, it switches your mind to realize that it's not just about survival, it's not just about sustenance, but it's also about what you're putting in, so the nutritional aspect, the health, and it's about understanding that food can be an enjoyable factor. See, I think what's happened, and you know, I've met a lot of people, different walks of life, where either food is a negative thing for them, and it might just be from time when they were young or whatever it was, and the experiences they had with food. It can be something that is not enough importance is placed, so it's rushed. It's a rushed process, and you know, we've kind of, in a way, being in a lockdown, or you know, any sort of adversity like this stops you in your tracks, because what we're so used to doing is grabbing a slice of toast, or not having any breakfast at all, running out the door, running to catch that bus, that train, that whatever, getting in our car, and then eating in the car, you know, eating on the go, in the street, grabbing the sandwich, gobbling it up, sitting at your desk, typing away and eating your sandwich. And, do you know what I mean? And there's no, and you know, looking at our phones. That's it. We're too busy looking at our phones, watching telly, TV dinners. You know, all of those things don't help you. It doesn't help you mindfully. And actually, I'll tell you this as well. It doesn't help you nutritionally in your body, because when you're distracted, your body processes up to 30% less of that food than you could. So you're not even getting the 100% nutrition. And that's a proven scientific fact, okay? So if you are too busy doing other stuff, reading, you know, even reading the newspaper, all the rest of it, you're not actually digesting the food fully as you should be. And so what I always say is that, you know, focus on the act of what you're doing. So if you're going to cook something, pour your heart and your love into it. You know, like you might do if you start a new business, like you might do, you know, when you're going to the gym. You know, you're not doing other stuff, are you? When you're in the gym, or like in a workout, whatever it is, you know, you're going for it, right? You're going for it, and you're sweating, and you're whatever, you know, you're doing it, or downward facing dog, or whatever it is. You're doing it. You're in the moment. So why are you not doing that with the cooking? You know, why are you too busy chatting on the phone? Stirring the dish, you know, all that. And I know we've all done it. We've all done it. But actually, if you just really look at yourself and look at the actions of the chopping, of the utensils that you're using, that chef's knife, cook's knife, that spoon, that wooden spoon, whatever it is, thinking about what that means to you, and really focusing on what it means to you to be able to have this great skill of cooking, no matter how simple it is, no matter, you know, whether you think it's a basic skill or whatever it is, doesn't matter. We're all cooks, we're all chefs. You know, if we cook a meal, we make something for ourselves, and we're all cooks, we're all chefs. Give yourself respect for that and honor for that. Celebrate yourself and sit there and, you know, and when you're doing it, when you're doing the action, think about it, what you're chopping, that where it's come from, and then, you know, when it goes in the pan, listen to those sounds, the sizzle, the, you know, all the little things that you're adding in there, and how the dish is transformed, because ultimately it's a transformative process, right? You know, you start off with a whole bunch of dry, fresh, whatever ingredients, and then suddenly it becomes a pasta tuna bake. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And, you know, suddenly it looks like a pack of dried pasta and a tin of tuna and a block of cheese and tomatoes and whatever. Suddenly it becomes this whole dish that you're able to feed your family with, and so, or yourself. So it's really the actions. It's really the present moment awareness. It's being there in the moment, being present. Because when you do that, and a lot of, you know, thought leaders will tell you this as well, you know, great people, all those personal development coaches that write those books and everything else, and they're amazing. And they'll tell you that, you know, actually when you do something, a simple task, and, you know, I say simple, but a task like cooking, or like if you're driving, or like, you know, if you're just sitting, sipping a cup of tea, it's when you get your best ideas. It's when your brain has a chance to switch off, to calm down, to relax, you know. And when you do that, and all you do is just focus on the dish and what you're doing, you'll be surprised how much your brain is rejuvenated, revived. You know, how it's suddenly just, you later on you think, oh yeah, and you think, oh, I'll get a business idea. Do you know what I mean?
No, because cooking can be, if you've got a family, cooking can be, you know, I have to do it. So just reframing that as something, you know, in itself enjoyable. Just really takes, I mean, you're not going to be able to do it every day, but
no, definitely not. But if you could do it, absolutely. It's what I think. What we have to learn to see is that cooking can be a really rewarding experience in so many ways. So it's not just about going, oh, right, I've got to go in the kitchen now. I've got a family of 10. I've got to cook for. Do you know what I mean? Or like, you know, I've got 2 kids, or I'm going to go on my own. And you know, if you're on your own as well, I mean, that's the other thing, isn't it? If you're on your own, it's so easy to neglect yourself. You know, it's so easy to just say, oh, I'll just have a sandwich, I'll just have a bowl of cereal. How many times have we all done that? But actually, to, you know, go into the kitchen, get the ingredients, you know, lay them out on the table, think about, and you know, get a cookery book, open it out, right, I'm going to cook that today, build yourself up. It's an excitement. That in itself is an activity. That in itself is you saying to yourself, do you know what, I'm going to give myself that time. You know, people will always tell me, I'm sure you say this all the time, Paula, to clients and things, you know, you've got to have a little bit of a time out for yourself. So find an activity, find a recreation, find something that interests you, or do something nice for yourself today, like even if it's for 30 minutes, 1 hour, whatever it is, 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And cooking can be a part of that. Cooking can be that thing. You know, a lot of people will say they find it very therapeutic, very rewarding experience. And you know, even like cooking with a friend, you know, even if you can't be together, you could have you could put it on a Zoom like this and cook together. That's a possibility, you know, or like cook with your child. Yeah, cook with one of your children, have them in the kitchen, get them helping, talk about what you're doing, talk about the food, talk about the process of it. You know, that's really lovely as well, because it can be a really great way. I mean, I know like in many cultures, mine included, we would, so recently, it's summer, so my mum's got a grapevine in her garden, right? It's about 35 years old, right, 40 years old. I remember she brought the clippings back from Cyprus, okay? So, and she grew that thing, okay? It's massive. Anyway, so from the grapevine leaves, we make something called dolma. They're stuffed vine leaves. So the last couple of weeks, my mum's been giving me a whole glut of these leaves, and I've been making vine leaves. So what I did was, one of my neighbours came round, and I've been teaching him a few little things about cooking, and he came and he helped me roll the vine leaves, and it really, really nice. So another day, my neighbour, she helped me to make lemonade, and so actually it's a really great way. What we used to do in the villages that my mum grew up in is sitting round making the stuff, like rolling dolmas, you know, stuffing things, making things together, because it's a really wonderful way to talk, to share stories, you know, to talk and you know, give ideas to each other, and you know, maybe, you know, solve each other's problems. Do you know what I mean?
No, I've experienced it. I've had dinner with you and your mum, and sat there, you know, getting it, preparing it, and just basically sat round the table doing it, which was so different to me, like rushing from one cupboard to another and so on. Yeah, definitely a different approach. So takeaways from that really are slow down. Think about all that, you know, from the buy-in to choosing, chopping,
deciding what you're going to cook, the recipe, the dish, thinking about all of that, and then going out and that active process of walking, you know, admiring what's around you, looking at the scenery around you, and then going into that supermarket, looking at all the vast array of beautiful products in front of you. So it's a very immersive experience. What I say is immerse yourself in the whole process, from the time you've chosen the recipe, to the purchase, to the bringing it back home, to then laying it out and getting it all prepared and done. Immerse yourself in the whole experience. You know, free yourself to it. Let yourself go to it. That's really what I say. Don't resist it. Just let yourself go and just really enjoy the whole experience. Because I think once you look at it like that, and once you think about it like that, I hope it would change your perspective on how you view eating, and how you view cooking, and how you view food, how you look at food actually, in its whole rewarding aspect, in its nutritional aspect, in what you're actually putting into your body, and about being more conscious about the choices that you make. and how
so for
much
those people who have been, you know, slogging over the computer all day, applying for jobs, this is a really nice contrast, isn't it? No computer screens, take you away from all that. Use a cookbook, you know, just the touch of a cookbook. There's lots of memories in. Yeah, no, I love it. Love it. It's a great idea. Brilliant. Well, thank you, Hulya. So there's been lots of ideas there for cooking on a budget. And then, you know, moving on to using food as a way of relaxing in a therapeutic way. So people can find Hulya at Hulya's site, which is madebythechef.com. Obviously, all that is in the blurb about this video. So thank you for your time, Hulya.
That's all right, Paula. Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Thank you.